you are calling from has been associated with high volume calling use.
To continue, press 4-1.
It's a high ball volume loose. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means. High volume.
The number you are calling from has been associated with high volume calling use.
Yes, it is.
Press 8.
We're not gonna continue with nothing. We're gonna dial the fucking number, guys.
The number you are calling from has been associated with high volume calling use.
To continue, press 7-4.
7-4. We gotta press it. Okay. I'm gonna try this again. Because I've got a guest. I've got to get to this guest. Thank you. You've got to call Dr. Bullock.
Hello?
And there's the doctor. How are you, sir? It's James Lowe calling you for your radio interview. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. Let me see if I can rope our co-host in here. Give me a couple seconds, and we'll see if she'll pick up her Skype. Dr. Clete Bulach is just going to join us here in just a few moments, and we are hoping to also be joined by our co-host as well. Hopefully she will... Hopefully she'll pick up her Skype. And Dr. Bullock, you have been quite busy, my friend.
Yeah.
Bring us up to speed on some of your latest projects and everything.
Well, I've been doing a lot of these talk shows. I've got a TV slot coming up May 10th. But other than that, I'm down at the condo at Gulf Shores on the beach. Just taking it easy today.
Just taking it easy. Well, we have got Dr. Clete Bulach with us today. He joins us live here on our broadcast. He is a fantastic, fantastic guest. We love having him on our broadcast from time to time. And today's topic, gouging hate in schools. And he's a leading authority on educational policy. He's got a great book out there, Creating a Culture for High-Performing Schools, a comprehensive approach to school reform and dropout prevention. He's with us today to discuss how to curb students' hateful behavior and meltdowns during the school. He can also use his experience to give us helpful tips to teachers and parents on how to address the concerns of children. And we are also being joined by our co-host Jay Bird Wells as well on our broadcast. And Dr. Bullock, first of all, how can schools handle the concerns of their students and put their fears at ease?
Well, there's school culture and climate is the biggest problem. Many schools do not have a good culture and climate, and kids don't like to go there. Teachers don't like to go there. Contributing to the culture and climate, I'm going to have to go to another room because I've got a contractor in here.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Right. Okay, let me go back.
Things are busy out at the ranch there, my friend.
I'm going to the back end.
Well, why Dr. Bullock why Dr. Bullock is in transition? We'll tell you a little bit more about the good doctor here. He's got an experience, 40-plus years in public education, doctoral degree in social psychology and leadership. He's got experience in all phases of the classroom, principalship, superintendency. He's a certified professor in educational leadership, leading authority on educational policy, reform, and global competitiveness. He has 2 new books titled School Culture, Vis-a-Vis Student Learning, Keys to Collaborative Problem Solving and Responsibility in Enhancing a School's Culture and Climate, New Insights for Improving Schools. And Dr. Bullock with us today here on our big broadcast. Yes.
I'm going to
Jay,
open my
jump
big
in.
mouth.
Jump in there, Jay.
I am just like everybody else out there. Do you have kids?
Well, that's the biggest problem. When you come to schools, In 2002, I got the contract to evaluate every school district in the state of West Virginia. It took me 5 months to do that, but my favorite question was, what do you like about school, to the kids? Thousands of kids I interviewed in every district in the state, and they said the teachers. And I said, what don't you like about school? And they said the teachers. So when you just said people who love kids, about half the teachers in our schools don't love kids.
Yeah.
They
it's
don't.
A job to
they
them.
don't. Huh?
It's a job to them. It's
and that's what the kids told me. They said these teachers that we like, they care about us. They will talk to us. They want us to learn. They will do their best to help us get good grades. And then you've got these other teachers, all they care about is their job, their paycheck, and they can't wait to retire. So that's what contributes to the culture and climate of the school. Now, who's your co-host?
J. Bird Wells.
Okay, Jane, good to meet you.
It's Jae.
J-A-E.
Jay.
J.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, Dr. Bullock, what is some of the best ways to handle students' unease while teaching them basically about the United States election process? Give us those details.
Run that by me again.
What is the best way to handle students' unease while teaching them about the United States election process?
Well, all kids have 5 needs. They, number one, they want to be freedom from fear, anxiety, and stress. They want to be alive. Number 2, they want to be happy, moments of happiness. Number 3, they want to have some control over what happens to them. The election process is a lot about control. If you give the kids control and they know that their vote is going to be confidential and nothing's going to be, recriminate against them, then the election process becomes a good process. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
That's those are the 3 basic needs, and then the 4th one is caring. Everybody wants to know that somebody cares about them. That's why the kids said, we like the teachers because they care about us. But half the teachers don't care. All they care about is their job. I think back on my days in school, I had one teacher in my high school career that cared about me. All the rest of them treated me just like I was nothing, just somebody in their classroom. They didn't care about me. And that's a sad indictment.
And even
Go ahead.
even though that public school is supposed to be separated from a religion, there's a lot of schools that still have teachers that kind of push their own religion on the students, and it creates a big it doesn't make the children feel cared for, because it feels like they're trying to change them and disrespect their parents. And
that's very true.
A teacher is supposed to encourage them to be the best they can be, no matter what background belief system they're in.
That's very true. And I had to fire a teacher for that. I wrote him a letter and I said, I don't want to hear any more comments from parents about you talking about your religion in school. And the guy would not quit. And I was able to fire him for insubordination. But here's a tip that a technique that I used when I was a teacher, and it's in Chapter 2 in book number 1. It's called the expectations diagnosis. What you just said about the different kinds of kids in school. When you walk into your classroom as a teacher, you look out there and you see black, you see white, you see rich, you see poor, you see Oriental, you see Latinos. all those kids out there, what do they expect of you as their teacher? Because they all come from different backgrounds, different religions. On my first day as a teacher, I would ask, what do you expect of me as your teacher? And even when I was a professor in graduate school, I gave all of my students 3 3x5 cards, and I said, what do you guys expect of me as your teacher? And they looked at me like I'm crazy. You want us to tell you what we expect? Because normally it's the other way around. The teacher tells the students what they expect. So I get all the cards, and because there's one expectation on each card, I sort them into common piles, and I come up with the expectations of my students. And I go back to them and I said, this is what you guys said you expect of me, and I'm going to try to meet your expectations. Here's one expectation I don't think I can meet, if there is one. And so I establish a relationship with my students with that technique. I show them that I care. I show them that I'm listening to them. I show them that I'm open with them. I show them that I trust them. So I begin this relationship, and that opens the door to a we atmosphere in our classroom. It's us together. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
Jay?
Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You hit it right on the head there, Dr. Bullock.
I was just sitting there and lost in the awe of somebody actually intelligent and respectful.
Well, see, you know, when you've got this mix of students today, you have no idea what their expectations are. And you establish, you know, what students value and believe is the culture in that classroom. Their values and beliefs form the culture, which is going to determine how that group works together. When you ask this question, you get at their values and beliefs. You try to find out what the culture is, and now you can begin building the climate. The climate is built on top of the culture. So, and that's how that works.
I like him. Can we keep him?
It is.
Good morning.
It is Dr. Clete Bulach with us today. He joins us live here on our broadcast, and Dr. Bullock has 40-plus years in public education. He is an amazing, amazing author, and he's with us today here on our big program here on iHeartRadio and AM/FM 247.com. Now, Doctor, what are some of the underlying causes of school violence? You've been around all sorts of schools. You've evaluated all sorts of schools. Break that down for me and Jay.
Well, you've got the five basic needs. When they are not met, violence can occur. So we went over freedom from fear, freedom from being bullied, freedom from anxiety and stress as number one. Number two was moments of happiness. Number three is control. Number four is caring. And number five is purpose.
Well, I'm sorry, but all those needs are not being met in the public school system because, I mean, you've got the basic school system set up trying to make boys into girls. Boys are more hands-on. Yeah. You know, you've got like maybe a 5-minute break. That's not enough time to go to the bathroom. So I'm sorry, but it creates health problems when you don't let the kids go to the bathroom because, you know, then they're like get frustrated with their parents when they're like, you can't sit on the toilet the whole day when you get home from school. He's like, well, I didn't go to the bathroom at school. And then you got the whole problem with the school system where it's just long, drawn out, stuck behind a desk, and it's not a lot of hands-on experience. You've got teachers and students both bullying the students. It's just, there needs to be a massive reform in the way that the public school system is. Not to mention that the public government shouldn't be in charge of the public school because it's a conflict of interest.
What you say is true.
So I'm not just a big mouth witty broad, but I actually speak the
No,
truth.
that's why I wrote the book. The books, the two.
I need the
two
book.
books that are out there now. When I got to all these schools in West Virginia, I realized that about 50% of the kids don't like going to school.
No.
I said,
Most
I
of
asked
them
them
are
for
boys.
their purpose. I said, why do you go to school? And they said, well, we have to. I said, you don't have any other reason for going to school? No, we don't like school. If we didn't have to go, we wouldn't go. The sad thing is a lot of teachers don't like the school either. That's why in years 3 to 5, many teachers quit. After how many years of training and on-the-job training, 3 to 5 years, teachers quit. 25% of the teachers quit.
I didn't know that.
And I thought to myself, I've got to write a book that will develop a school where kids like to go to school, where teachers like to teach. So
Okay,
that's why I wrote.
What's the name of the
That's
book?
why I wrote the. Huh?
What's the name of the book so I can stock it?
Oh, School Culture and Climate vis-a-vis Student Learning. That's the latest, book 1. And then the book 2 is Enhancing School Culture and Climate. The biggest problem we've got is discipline. Student discipline is the biggest factor determining what kind of culture and climate. Now, you go into some schools, and the student behavior is awful. Teachers have to stop teaching up to 100 times a week to correct student misbehavior. That has to change. Then the 5 basic needs of kids and teachers are not being met. Many kids go to school with no purpose, believing the teacher doesn't care. They have no control. They are told what to study. They are told what the rules are, and they're not happy. And many of them are afraid that somebody's going to harm them or hurt them or say something mean to them. Now, how's that kid going to learn? So you've got that. And then you've got the way power is used to control. There are 9 forms of power, James, and we've talked about that on previous shows.
Yes.
Nine forms
tell
of
us,
power.
Tell us a little bit about those, because I don't think Jay's up to speed on those. Bring us up to speed on those.
Jay, there are 5 forms of power that give kids control, that give people control. Any leader or parent out there listening should be using the 5 freeing forms of power. Then there are 4 controlling forms of power, which are overused in most schools and overused by parents a lot. When you try to control somebody, you oftentimes get resistance. And when you get resistance, you tighten down on the controls, which gets more resistance. And then you tighten down some more. And pretty soon you've got a rebellion on your hand with your kids and in the classroom. The crazy thing is, if you're the leader, the secret to leadership is to give control using the 5 freeing forms of power. And when those don't work, you must take control back. If you're the leader, you give control to people, but you cannot give it up. Once you give up control, you lose your leadership. So here's how that goes. Information, which we're doing right now, is power, right? People listen to this and they say, wow, I never thought about that. I'm going to have to do that. So we give control with information, and the people hear it, and they like it, and they do it. So that's a form of power. That's a form of control, but you're giving it. Expertise, you demonstrate how to do something. That's what teachers do every day. And if they do it properly, the kids will see it, and they'll say, yeah, I can do that. And they take their homework and go home, and they do it. And then there's personality. And I know James uses his personality a lot. He's a very likable person.
Sometimes.
So sometimes. But if people like you, all you got to do is ask them to do something, and they will do it, right?
Not necessarily, no. But go on. I want to see where this is going.
Lots of times, That's what many teachers do. They get the kids to like them, and all they got to do is ask them, and they do it. Then you get
yeah, I can see that now. My daughter's teacher's like that. I've got some teachers for my sons that they say they're the worst teacher in the entire school.
Then you come to ego power. You stroke somebody's ego, like, hey, you did a great job with that last time. How about giving me a hand? They'll say, oh, okay, I'll help you. So you stroke somebody's ego, and they agreed to do it. That's a freeing form of power, right? You agree with that, Jay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you get moral power. Moral power is the best form of power. Once everybody agrees on what is the right thing to do, when it doesn't happen, you remind them, hey, you didn't do that. And they say, oh, yeah, I forgot. So moral power, many parents have rules at their house, but the rules are not written, and the kids may not know what the rules are. They have to guess at what they are from habit, from the way things work there. But if everybody agreed on what the rules were, then moral power would be in place. You could say, you know what the rule is on that? They say, yeah, I know, I'll do it. And that's a freeing form of power. Those are the 5 freeing forms: information, expertise, personality, ego, and moral power. Once the rules are in place, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I noticed more rules in place at the private school I went to, but when I went to the public school, it was like, basically, do whatever you want. There was no rules.
One of the things I always did as a teacher, after I did my expectations diagnosis, what do you expect of me as your teacher, I said, what do you want the rules to be in this classroom? And they look at me like I was crazy. You want us to tell you what the rules are? I said, yeah. I'm going to give you 3 3x5 cards. Write 1 rule on each card. So I would get all the rules, put them in the common files, and I'd put them up on the board, the rules that they had set, and if there was one that I wanted that they didn't put in, I just put it in. The rule that they normally did not put in was turn your homework in on time. So I would put it in. But when the rules went up, they would all sit there and look, oh, I wrote that rule. There's my rule. There's my rule. And all around the classroom, the kids would look up there and they would see their rules. Now, moral power is now in place because it's their rules. When a rule is broken, whose rule is broken?
One of theirs.
Theirs. What's the teacher doing? The teacher is working for them. The teacher is a servant leader. That's the theme throughout the book, servant leadership, people working for others. You'll have to excuse the noise. I've got a contractor working here.
Not a problem.
I'm sorry about that.
Having a hard time finding your book on Amazon.
It put in Bulach, School Culture and Climate.
And how do you?
And
I'm sorry. How do you spell Bulach?
Bulach. Clete Bulach with us today. Bulach.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Bullock, we've got a great conversation here with Dr. Bullock. We've got about 10 more minutes left to go here with our segment here. How can we identify some of these students who are likely to become school shooters? I know that you probably get asked this constantly, but I know there's a lot of folks that want to know the answer to this question.
Well, there's an easy way to do that. It's so simple. And it's been going on. The technique was developed 50 years ago. It's called the sociogram. You can get on the web and look that up, and I described that in book 2. You ask the kids, if you were going to have a birthday, who would you invite? And you give them 3 3x5 cards or 5, whatever, however many you want. But normally 3 will work, and you say, put the names of who you'd invite, 1 name on each card. So you get all the cards back from the kids in your classroom, and you sort them in the common piles, and lo and behold, you find that there is a kid who has not been invited. Nobody has invited this one kid. That's what I call an isolate. That's a kid whose needs are not being met. The kid has no purpose. Nobody in that classroom cares about them. The kid has no control because nobody likes him, her, and the kid is probably fearing for their safety, has a lot of anxiety and stress. That's a kid who is a potential for violence. That kid has to do something to get these needs met, because right now none of the needs are being met. Okay, so what does the kid do? The kid can grab a gun, go back to school. With the gun, the finger on that trigger, they've got control. They've got a purpose. They're getting some needs met. They can do a lot of other things too, one of which is suicide. A kid whose needs are not being met is very despondent, very depressed. They're going to do something to get these needs met. Suicide is another way. Another way is alcohol. Another way is drugs. Another way is join a gang, which is why gangs are so prevalent in our society. Gangs help people get their needs met. The gang gives them a purpose. The gang members care about each other. The gang gives them control. There are moments of happiness there probably. And there's a feeling of safety within the gang. Does that make any sense?
It does. I want to challenge you to have the students write another question. Who will my parents not let me invite?
Aha. That's a good one.
Because,
you know, one of the other
for example, the book Romeo and Juliet was written basically, about real life, and that's what we got going on here, where my neighbors are absolutely hateful, and their daughter is my daughter's best friend. So my daughter's best friend would invite her, but her parents wouldn't let her invite her.
Uh-huh.
So I want to challenge you to write that in your next book.
Well, actually, I have Chapter 5 in Book 1 deals with parents. And that's one of the other reasons for a poor school culture and climate. The way I asked teachers, what do you like about your school and what don't you like about your school? And you know what the answer was? The parents. And they said they like it. They like the parents. And I said, what don't you like? And they said the parents. Yeah. And I said, well, tell me about that. And it fits in with what you just said. They said, well, some parents will do anything we ask them to do, and then we've got these other ones. They don't like us. They don't respect us. They undo everything we try to do with their kids. If we try to teach them a good behavior, when they go home, the parents undo it. So how do you get the parents? In Chapter 5, I describe a character ed program that involves the parents, because you cannot change the behavior of kids. And that's one of the problems in schools, student misbehavior. You cannot improve their behavior if you don't improve the behavior of the parents. Well, how do you do that? You do it with a character ed program. You focus on one character trait a year. And I suggest courtesy as the first character trait to work on. You go to all the kids and you say, we're going to work on courtesy this year. If people were courteous to you, what would you want them to do or say? You can't write yes, sir, no, sir, or thank you. And they say, you want us to tell you what courtesy means? And they say, yeah, we want to know what you think it is. Because many people don't think about courtesy and what behaviors constitute it. So you get these behaviors back from the kids, and then you go to the teachers and the cooks and the custodians and the secretary, everybody in the school. We're going to focus on courtesy. If people were courteous to you at this school, what would you want them to do or say? Then when you have the parent open house, you go to the parents. You say, we're going to focus on courtesy this year. What would you want them to do or say? And you come up with this list of behaviors from the parents, from the cooks, from all the school personnel, from all the kids. And then you go to the Chamber of Commerce or to your business partners, and you say, we're going to focus on courtesy here this year. What would you want people to do or say? And you get this list of behaviors, roughly 10. And in my book, I give the list of behaviors for courtesy. And there is a character survey in the book that measures 96 behaviors on 16 character traits. The survey is free. It's in book 2, I believe. No, book 2, book 1. On this list goes up in every classroom. It goes on every refrigerator. It goes in every business, every post office, every church in the community. And everybody for 1 year focuses on being courteous to each other.
Wow.
Don't you think that would change the behavior of how people treat each other in that community?
Yes.
Well,
in that school?
Because, I would love to volunteer for my school, but, some of the parents are not very courteous.
No, but they don't know that because nobody has thought about the behaviors. But when you put them on a list and post them everywhere, all of a sudden people are aware. Oh, and when they're not courteous, somebody will say, "Hey, you're not doing that. Take a look at the list of courtesy. You're not doing it." And they're reminded of that. And in the home, when mom is not courteous to dad, the kids are going to call mom. Vice versa. When the kids are not courteous to each other, mom and dad can call them because now you put moral power in place. What is the right thing to do on courtesy? Then next year, I like self-respect as a trait for the year. It gets at grooming. It gets at dress. It gets at cussing. It gets at sex. It gets at alcohol. And on with, if you were a person who respected yourself, what would you do? You come up with this list of do's and don'ts. The following year, you go to responsibility. And another year, you might go to cooperation. So you've got, what we've got right now in many states, starting in the 90s, the states mandated character education to be taught in all schools because they knew that student misbehavior was a problem. Well, in the state of Georgia, there are 28 character traits that are taught. If you go into any school, you won't see any vestige of that being taught because the kids are tired of it, teachers are tired of it, they did it every year, year in and year out, and they're tired of it. But when you go to one trait a year and you hammer it, you can involve the parents. You can involve the community. And every year you've got a different trait. So you hammer a trait, and people don't get tired of it. It takes no curriculum at all. There are no books. There's nothing to read or write. It's all about behavior. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it does.
I want the book. And I'm going to sit here and share it with all 13,000 Facebook friends.
We've got...
well, my
go ahead, Dr. Bullock.
Project is to do a video on this character ed project. And I'm going to try to get it out and get it on TV somewhere. Somebody needs to do something about the behavior of parents, Jay, and I agree with exactly what you said. The behavior of some parents is abominable. And the way the role models they are... But at the same
time, I don't think that we should sit there and give the kids to the state either.
You don't think we should do what?
I don't think, just because of some of the parents are abominable, that doesn't mean that the state should sit there and own all the kids and the parents shouldn't raise kids at all.
Well, I agree with that. But something has to be done to improve the behavior of the adults in our communities. And you've got all of these immigrants coming in who have an entirely different moral set of moral code than exists in our culture. And we're doing nothing to assimilate them into our society.
You mean they have to learn how to sit there and flush the toilet when they're done? You mean they need to pick up trash and wash their hands?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just think the way character education is being taught in our schools is a total waste. I've been the external evaluator for over 8 years on character ed projects. And in years 1 or 2 of the project, behavior improves. On years 3, it begins to go back to where it was. And in year 4, it's just as bad as it was in year 1, before the project got in place. So the current character ed programs don't work. The current character ed curriculums do not work. So...
Well, Dr. Bullock, we have officially run out of time, my friend. I appreciate you making time for us today, and thanks for being with us today, Doctor.
And send Jiggy a book for me, please.
Send me an email, and I'll send you a copy.
I will send that. I will make sure you guys get connected, and we will get that figured out. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Dr. Bullock, and we'll be back here in a few moments here on our world-famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast, coast to coast, border to border, tune in, iTunes, Radio Loyalty, Stitcher, and the brand new Jiggy Jaguar app available in the App Store. We got more coming up.